Hello everyone. Today we will discuss about few key interview questions. So those are very basic questions for the real-time working experience people. So these questions are very straightforward, but this through these questions we can easily identify whether the person has the real-time experience or not. Let's get into that. So the first question is, what are all the different environments that you use for your testing? So ideally in an application we have different environments like dev, test, stage, pre-prod, prod. Okay, so in our application we have dev, test, stage, and prod environments. So you can mention like these are all the four environments we have. So dev environment is the environment which is used by the developers to deploy their code and to do the unit testing. Test environment is the environment where actual testing team will run their testing. So stage environment is a higher environment. In some applications, stage environment is replica of prod environment. So it will have the stage and prod will have both replica of data. So this is how we can explain the different environments. In different applications, they also use alpha environment, Bravo environment, UAT environment. So it all depends on application to application. But when it comes to our application, we are using dev, test, stage, and prod environments. Yeah. The next question is, what are all the different tools that you use in your application? So if we ask this question, if we are working in an agile environment or agile model, in an agile model scrum methodology, we can mention that Rally is the tool that we use for um, the test management tool. It's a complete test management and tracking tool that we use. And for Selenium is another tool that we use for automation testing, and also the database, which can be SQL, MySQL server. The latest trend, people are also using Solar, Cassandra, NoSQL databases that we can mention about the different uh, tools that we are using in our application. So if we consider for testing, these are all the tools that we use usually in Agile. We use Rally for creating user stories, tasks, and tracking that, tracking defects. Everything is captured in Rally. And for if we are doing automation testing, usually Selenium is the tool where we use the to automate our scripts, which we will store in a shared location. So this is how you can answer for this question. Yeah, the next question is about how do you review your colleague written test cases? Okay, so how do we review our colleague's test case? Okay, which is in our colleague machine. Usually, test cases we write it in our Excel sheet. If we write in an Excel sheet, how we're going to access our colleague test cases and how are we going to review it? Okay, so if the test cases has been written in the Excel, then we cannot access his machine and review it, right? So this case, what we will say is, so the test cases will be uploaded in a SharePoint, which which into a common folder where team has access, and get we will check out that specific document from from the SharePoint, and we will review the test cases, and we will add our comments in the comment section, and we will check in the document and we'll send an alert to the colleague so that he will revisit those comments and he will work on those comments and he will complete it. This is one way, the traditional way that we will review our test cases. So in other way, I mean in agile, if it is in agile model, so usually in agile, these days people are writing their test cases as well in Rally. if we are using Rally for test case writing, then the team will have access to Rally. So we can log into Rally and we can go to test case tab of the user story and we can review the test cases. So ideally, we will not prefer write in Rally because it will consume lot of memory. Uh, Usually, we write test cases in a standard template that each team will have their own template with all the details, and we'll write it there and we'll store it in a SharePoint. From the SharePoint, we will review the test cases. This is one way that you can answer for this question. Other query is, where do you store your requirement documents? Okay, so in waterfall model, we usually go through the requirement documents, we will understand and then we'll write the test cases. So where do we store these documents? So these documents will be getting from the business and business analyst will have these documents. So where do we store these documents is we store in a SharePoint document, common SharePoint document from where we can access these requirement documents. So whereas in Agile, so in Agile we do not have specific requirement documents. The feature itself is a requirement. At a feature, the feature will have all the details of the requirement, dependencies, risks, mitigations, all those details, and it will have all the user stories. So all that huge requirement or complex requirement, we will make it as a smaller pieces in the user stories and we will write user stories. So this is how the requirement will capture in the Agile. So in Agile, we'll consider as a feature as a requirement. We can say this way. So other way, if there is some mapping, for instance, if you're working for a microservice, APIs, so in that case, we need to have a mapping document for the specific API. In those cases, we again have a separate document where we will prepare and we will store it in a common team SharePoint where everyone can access from the team. This is how you can answer for this question. The next question is, what is test case? This is the very basic query that everyone should be aware of it. Being a tester, what is a test case? Test case is a sequence of steps that we use to test a specific scenario or to test a specific business case or requirement. What a test case contains. So the test case contains the serial number, the sequence number, the description, steps, expected results, and actual results. So the description will contain the brief description of that specific testing and the steps that we need to test that specific requirement. Expected results is the results that we write it, that we expect from each and every step of our execution. The actual results is the results that we get it when we actually execute this test case on the application. If we get the if the expected results and actual results are matching, then the test cases pass. If the expected and actual results are not matching, then we fail the test case and we will log the defect. So this process will continue. So this is but you can answer when it is what is test case is asked, you can straight away answer test case is a sequence of steps that we use to execute a specific requirement with this elaborative explanation. Thank you.